Here, what's going on? How you gentlemen doing?
What's up, boys?
You sound excited, Hayes.
I might be just a little bit.
All right, it's good.
There's some good stuff going on here. We got March Madness, which we've talked about pre-production of how much games Harrison and I have watched. I know Sam has watched some, but I don't think as much as Harrison and I because we're psychos. So we got that
this weekend. I saw people.
That's fair. That's fair. Sam did not have an excuse this time. We also have some baseball, the preview of the season, and one of the biggest topics, if not the biggest topic, that's pretty much overshadowed everything at this point in time. Mr. Baseball himself, Shohei Ohtani, and did he bet or did he not bet? We got the NBA. The playoffs are arriving very, very soon. So we'll talk about some playoff projections, play-ins, really specifically. And we got a very, very fun question amongst some other things. So let's absolutely dive into this right away. Gentlemen, we are now at the Sweet 16. We are in week 2 of the tournament.
Oh, no.
Here we go. 5 minutes in. Yeah, so we're in week 2, Harrison. Of the tournament. Hayes dropped.
Wow.
He's he's
going to be so hot when he comes back.
Yeah, especially because he has to produce this whole thing when it's over.
He's going to be.
Yeah, no. So, hey, the show goes on.
The show goes on. Let's keep it
Harrison,
rolling.
2 rounds in the books of the NCAA men's tournament. And what are your top takeaways here as we head into the Sweet 16 starting on Thursday?
I'm just super excited for the Sweet 16 matchups. Obviously, we had a good amount of upsets the first day, first 2 days, but then kind of the cream rose to the top, and you got a lot of high seeds in here for the Sweet 16. Only one double-digit seed left, so you got a bunch of 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s going head to head. So I'm excited. I'm excited for the matchups that kind of everyone wants to see. It was a fun first weekend. I abandoned my family, as Hayes said, and we kind of just went multiple screens at all times. My wife was not the biggest fan, but she's into it too with her bracket. So it was a great first weekend.
Yeah, it's awesome. Hayes, what stands out to you from the first weekend of action in the NCAA tournament?
Harrison texting me about North Carolina.
You got some echo there, bud.
Yeah, I don't know why.
You need to mute the other thing that you have.
I don't have the other thing anymore. It's not even a thing anymore. This is just crazy. Oh my God. Let's see. How does this sound?
Nope.
Not what you want.
Not what you want. Oh, okay. There we go.
Now it should be good.
We're here.
I don't. Back to what I'm saying because I'm just pissed off by this. Whatever. North Carolina won. Harrison texted me, wanted to kick me when the Tar Heels were down, but I just told him to wait. I also sat with a few friends of ours, and they were talking about the Tar Heels, and I said, you clearly have not watched any of the Tar Heels games because they start off extremely slow, and this is how they play. Mm-hmm. And needless to say, they went on a lovely run before the half was over and absolutely ended up dismantling their opponent. But also on the other end, Harrison and I always chirp at each other because he's a Duke fan. Duke absolutely blew out their opponent as well, which I didn't think they were going to beat them by that much, but they absolutely handed them an ass whooping. Learning about McCain, he's a very, very solid player. We also learned that there's a player from Minnesink front on there as well. Flipowski is how you say his last name or whatnot.
I think that's right.
So, yeah, seeing Purdue actually not get bounced so early, I would say that would be something. That's very, very interesting. Gonzaga's still in it, so I know Harrison's still happy
Go
to
Zags.
troll about that.
Let's go Zags.
This will be their week to fall apart, and I will be right there to hold Harrison when he's laying on the ground. But all in all, I think the tournament has been really, really great. I'm excited about the fact that we actually get to see these top seeds play against each other, right? It's all great to have the Cinderellas and whatnot, and there's really technically only one at this point in time, if you want to consider that being an NC State, which is a 11 seed. But in reality, the division that they play in, I don't see them as a Cinderella. I also feel, which is another big takeaway from this whole situation, that a lot of people have been talking about, is the Big East really got snubbed. There should be more Big East teams in this tournament. I also feel the same for the ACC as well too. There's some really, really good teams in both there, and I know it's now started the chatter again of expansion. So I'm sure it's going to happen. I think it's inevitable just because it's also a money thing. But all in all, absolutely loving what's going on with the tournament so far.
Well, you asked about. Remember, you talked about the transfer portal last week.
Mm-hmm.
This is a direct reflection of why it is the way it is. So obviously, you got all these top seeds, and they've poached every mid-major talent you possibly can. So those lower seeds are not represented as well this year. It could just be kind of the roll of the dice or the way things work out or shaked out. But you're kind of seeing the cream rise to the top, and all these power seeds pillaging all the mid majors, taking all their players, and now they're represented in the Sweet 16. So just something to look at in the future going forward.
It's really, really cool seeing that. To your point of these mid majors, these teams are older, so there's more cohesion than there is with a lot of these blue blood teams where their players are mostly one and done, and you're seeing it with how these mid majors are playing these teams tougher in certain situations, obviously, of course. But I like it. I really, really enjoy it. And you're starting to learn, seeing guys that were on major colleges playing for their teams and not really getting the shine or burn, and now going places and being the number one player and getting their shine at this point. So very much so enjoying that. I mean, I know the old heads hate the whole new transfer portal and all that stuff and NIL, but get with the times, old folks. It's time to just move forward and deal with it.
It's unfortunate, but if for those people, it's not.
Yeah.
So.
What's your takeaway, Sam? I don't know if you had one. If I missed that point from you.
Yeah. No, I watched as much as I could. Thought some obviously dominant performances. I was with Harrison. I thought your Tar Heels were in trouble, but then they went on a 23-3 run, and I was like, I don't think I said anything to you, so I dodged
you
that
didn't.
one.
You did. Harrison always will say something to me.
I'll always say something.
Yeah, but I will always say something to him. Trust me. It's just what's going to happen.
I think there's some fun matchups that I'm excited about. I mean, we talked about last week with so much kind of discourse about seeding and how wide open it was in comparison to recent years. It's going to lead to a lot of this. You guys made great points too. Some notes I had is Zach Eddy's really good at basketball.
Yeah,
that's one of my notes.
Yeah,
53 points and 35 boards in 2 games.
He's pretty good.
If Purdue plays like that, Jesus, like watch out. But yeah, there's that. I also put UConn is very good. Danny Hurley is very mad. Like you can't be playing a 16 seed and he's like mad they didn't beat him by enough kind of thing. So whatever. That's an exciting rematch with the number 5 San Diego State rematch of last year's finals. But there's some really good matchups that I'm looking forward to too. I mean, like Illinois has got a great offense. Iowa State's got a great defense. Like that'll be fun to watch. You guys mentioned the UNC game.
There's
Duke, Houston, Creighton,
there's
Tennessee,
some great
like
ones.
some of the great matchups going on. So
like Duke Houston is going to be awesome.
That's going to be really, really good.
It's going to be awesome.
Really,
and then,
really good.
I'm the number 1 Gonzaga fan in the universe right now.
Yes.
So that game is going to be great.
That'll be interesting.
Let's go Zags.
That is for sure. That'll be interesting. I also love like the whole Houston story, which a lot of people aren't talking about as well, of losing a teammate, which not, and how they're playing for a bigger cause. It's not just to win; they're playing for their brother in arms. So I think that's such a cool story, which I'm sure if they continue to get closer to the Final Four or championship, I'm sure that'll be highlighted even more if they get to that point. It should be highlighted more at this point in time, but they're a real tough team. They're gritty, super gritty team to see what's going on. But yeah, some of these matchups that we see, I don't know if you guys ran down them. Stop me if you haven't or have.
No, we didn't run down all of them. No.
Okay, so just real quick, just so you guys know what's coming up, especially for those that are betting. I'm just going to look off to the side, but you got Clemson, 6 seed, playing Arizona on Thursday at 7 p.m. You have San Diego State, UConn, as Sam mentioned. That's also Thursday. That's at 7:39 p.m. You have Alabama, who,
You
as
scared?
I spoke,
You scared, Hayes? Are you scared?
no, I'm not scared.
should
Watching
be-
how they
should be.
play it, I'm not scared. I'm not scared.
You should be scared.
Alabama 4 seed against the 1 seed Thursday 9:39 p.m. You have Illinois and Iowa State. That's Thursday night at 10:09 p.m. And then we have the Friday games, which are NC State, Marquette. I really love this Marquette team. I don't know why I also didn't say anything about them. Their guard reminds me of Steve Nash, like a left-handed Steve Nash, and it's absolutely crazy. So enjoy that. And I also love any team that's coached by Shaka. So that's that.
NC State's got my favorite player. So
who's your favorite player?
Burns is a monster.
He is a monster. Yeah, that's for sure. Friday, they play Friday at 7. You have Gonzaga, Purdue.
Let's go Zags.
By Zags. The 7:39. Duke, Houston by Duke, 9:39. And then Creighton, Tennessee. Thank you, Creighton, for winning me money. 10 p.m. on Friday. So those are the games that are coming up. Definitely interested. I will definitely ask Sam if he's placing any bets because Harrison cannot bet. So we'll just make it very clear to save his job. So yes.
Yes. Yeah. We'll dodge that one. I haven't yet. I haven't even looked at the lines or anything. I'm sure I will. We'll see.
I'm up. I got a nice little parlay running starting today with the Celtics running into Friday. So I need the Celtics to win by, I think, 13 points tonight. So yeah, they better do that.
Who do they play tonight?
I forgot.
Wow.
But it's a team that they should be beating by 13 points. Let's just put it that way. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I could be $500 richer by the end of this week. We'll see. $10 bets can get you far away or get you absolutely nowhere. Anyway, speaking of bets, while we're on it.
What a segue.
Wow. That's Hall of Fame right there.
That was unreal.
Ohtani.
Oh, yeah.
And some bets. Now, Sam, I'll leave it to you. I'll actually leave it to you both because I am not going to massacre his ex-interpreter's name. But can you guys pronounce his name? I've heard it several times, and then each time I get ready for this show, I just completely forget how to say his name. So
I think it's Ipe Mizuhara, right?
That sounds
we'll
right.
go with that. Sounds about right to me. So Ipe, I'm gonna call him Eep for all intents and purposes. Eep over here
Mizzy.
Was dabbling. He was dabbling out here. He was just making it rain with Shohei Ohtani's money, apparently. So for those that are not privy, and I wasn't privy to this either until I was watching the Korean broadcast for the Dodgers-Padre game with a former interpreter for the Mets that was a part of the broadcast. But he explained the access that an interpreter has for a player that comes to the major leagues. They set up their bank accounts, so they have access to all of that, personal information, so on and so forth. So it's not a surprise that he had easy access to his bank account and his information like that, because he's also one of the people that sets them up. So that was a part that I never knew about interpreters. I don't know. Did you guys know that prior to?
Well, I'd only imagine, because you think about it,
I think Sam just died. See, Sam was just like, I got to get out of here. He had to check, make sure he wasn't getting wiretapped. But yeah, it's so you didn't know, Harrison. I didn't know either.
No, I didn't.
It was very, very interesting learning that aspect of it. So that brought, I guess it's always a learning situation that you get from this. But apparently he had a $4.5 million debt. A $4.5 million debt that apparently Shohei covered. Which I think that's the biggest part of this whole situation that has everybody wondering, how could you not be involved in this if you fronted this money? Now, Ipe,
Eat parlay.
Eat parlay over here, for sure. Apparently has said that Shohei had no idea. Shohei has apparently been on record saying that he can't stand betting or whatnot. Apparently, eBay also said that he was never bet on baseball. Sure, you have one of the greatest baseball players in the world, and you never bet on baseball, like you wouldn't know what's going on. Find that to also be too hard. But if this is all true, and Shohei Ohtani really did front him this money, and that was it, it had no other ties to any of this, he is the greatest friend ever. Hands down, has to be the greatest friend ever to cover your friend's $4.5 million of money that he stole from you. On top of that,
well, I think that's where the confliction happens, because, so in September, there's Ohtani's names are on 2 slips or wire transfers, and it says loan to a guy who's running an illegal ring because gambling is illegal in California. Yep. So then the feds get a hold of this info when they raid the guy's house. They see Ohtani's name. Obviously, that's, that perks your interest there. So ESPN found out. They reached out to the interpreter. He gave them, and with Ohtani's camp's blessing, so I'm assuming his attorney, someone else, Mizuhara spoke to ESPN for 90 minutes. And then he said he decided to pay it off for me. He doesn't want me. I told him I'm never doing this again. He didn't know it was illegal. It's a hard lesson, blah, blah, blah. So this is all happening while the Dodgers are in Korea. After game 1, they have this giant team meeting. That's when the interpreter, the Dodgers know the story is breaking. Yeah. They have the meeting to let everybody know. Apparently, that's when this whole thing gets kind of weird, because then after, the same people, Mizuhara and Ohtani's camp, go back to ESPN and basically say, discount everything they just said. And then Ohtani's attorney basically said, no, Shohei has no idea what's going on. $4.5 million was stolen from him. This is after on the record. So there's some allegations too that the interpreter basically being the only real connection between Ohtani and the team, and Ohtani and a lot of different things. I mean, it's a kind of probably a lonely existence being an Asian player in a American clubhouse, yeah. Right? So this guy's been his buddy for a long time. So that's where the whole thing gets weird, though, because now it's all of a sudden, after admitting on record to ESPN that Ohtani hooked me up, he helped me out, and he made he took care of this for me. Now it's, no, this guy stole money from Ohtani. So it got really, this is where it kind of gets weird. So after, in typical Major League Baseball style, a week before opening day, and the biggest star on the planet, they drop news at 6:00 on a Friday that they're going to investigate this. And apparently Ohtani is going to speak tonight, and not take any questions and just read a statement. So that'll be interesting. So that's kind of where we are. But the whole
Harrison,
thing is just so.
What do you think of this, Harrison?
Just a fantastic news dump by MLB to do at 6 p.m. on a Friday of March Madness. Just the stuff that legends are made of. I'm with Hayes. What a great friend to pay off eParlay's bets. But I'm kind of just sitting back and watching it and just curious what happens, because this is obviously the most massive story in MLB in a long time. Yeah. To see how this shakes out, I'm just here.
Listen, to expound upon that is Ohtani. If Ohtani is not implicated on this, he's the best friend you can ever ask for, and Mizuhara is the worst bettor that you could ever see in your whole entire life, to be in a $4.5 million of debt. What were you betting on? Like, what were you doing?
The Celtics by 13.
Bro, he must have just saw some crazy parlays. Is like, I can get that. I just find this whole situation to be like extremely, extremely weird.
Yeah.
And it couldn't come at a worse time with the player that is probably is the face of baseball. This couldn't happen to a worse player for the MLB, especially with them trying to fight for ratings against basketball and football to be the top tier, even though they don't have to fight with them really end season until the latter half. Playoff time, yes, they're going to have to fight with the NBA about that. But it's at least they have Judge. At least they have Judge to fall back on.
Well, it's interesting here because I missed the whole point of the original story where the interpreter spoke to ESPN and gave a different story. But I'm thinking, even if Ohtani being just naive to a lot of different things, like this is the best case scenario for him. He's a great friend, as you guys mentioned, and clearly is. And he did this himself, or, he's still in that. It's not good. I mean, when the feds break up an illegal gambling ring, they don't care about the people necessarily that are placing the bets. It's all about the guy in charge of it. But the implication, so legally, I don't think there's much implication, assuming that it wasn't theft, right? It was just Ohtani making a dumb decision, right? You need to have someone else take care of this for you, kind of thing. But if that's the case, I mean, he's probably in some kind of big trouble, especially if they can prove, and I'm sure that stuff will leak, what some of these bets were. If there was anything related to baseball on there,
we gotta find out.
That's where this whole thing is going to be messy. So be interesting to see what he said. And remember, like, I know this isn't the Pete Rose thing, and Pete Rose, it's a lazy kind of thing to throw at Pete Rose because, in a way, I mean, he was such a dominant figure in his era of baseball, but like he lied about it, and he pretty much lied about it for decades. So I'd be really interested. Obviously, you don't want to say too much. You're under, this is an investigation federally. He's not going to say much. But it'd be really interesting what comes next here, because that'll really define this whole situation for him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he better hope that if he did do something, that he had all his conversations in person, because if not, bye-bye, buddy, because they're going to scrub the shit out of whatever devices that you got, and they're going to find out what they want to find out.
And say I don't know if betting on baseball is I assume it's a lifetime ban, right? But just say he gets suspended like 162 games. I was thinking about this the other day. When A-Rod got suspended for steroids for like the billionth time, he got suspended 162 games. The Yankees didn't have to pay that. If Ohtani gets suspended 162 games, the Dodgers don't have to pay $2 million, right? Because the rest of it's deferred.
Yeah.
So it's like, holy crap. Like if that's actually what happens, like, this is wild. But a black eye on it was a big weekend, a big couple days in Korea for baseball, biggest star, one of the biggest franchises in all of sports.
Yeah.
I'm sure the story is not going to go away for sure.
It's absolutely not. But since it's not going to go away, we're already talking about baseball, so we might as well go into a baseball preview. So
not as good of a segue.
What happened, sir?
Not as good of a segue as the last one.
Relax. You can't give all the magic out, okay? you got to sprinkle it out through the whole thing, all right? So let's go right into the AL. I'm going to run down some of our picks, and then we'll talk a little bit from there. I don't want to drive us into the ground and talk your ears off about baseball, but we'll definitely give you our opinion. So for the AL East, the winners that we have coming out of there, I have the Orioles. Harrison has the Yankees. Sam also has the Orioles. For the Central, I have the Twins. Harrison has the Twins. Sam has the Tigers. For the West, I have the Rangers, Harrison has the Mariners, and Sam also has the Rangers. And for the wild card that we have coming out of there, I have Yankees, Astros, Mariners, same as Sam. And then Harrison has the Orioles, Blue Jays, Rangers. Real quick, I'll just touch on that first to kind of get like your choices or where your mind frame was on that, so we can move on to the AL MVPs shortly after and all the other type of awards. But I guess let's really focus on the AL East, because that's where all three of our favorite teams is at, and just focus on that one. So as I said, I have the Orioles, and so does Sam. Harrison, you have the Yankees. Why do you have the Yankees in this situation outside of being a fan of the Yankees?
Yeah, I flip-flopped on Yankees Orioles. I think it'll be those two at the top. I love what the Orioles are doing. I wish they would kind of call up Jackson Holiday right away, but they have some pitching injuries, but so do the Yankees. I just think the Yankees offense is really, really good as a fan. But I could have gone either way with Orioles or Yankees. I think they'll be both right there.
Fair. So Sam, well, first off, Harrison, the Garrett Cole thing, I know it's just the beginning of the year. It just sucks as a fan, right? It just absolutely sucks to see that he's out, and especially after having a Cy Young year. You go out and you get Soto, and you're expecting this team to just start right up and just jump right off the paper or whatnot. And it's like, oh, now we got to wait for the ace to come back and really deal and see what it's going to be like, right? So that part is disappointing, but that's the reason why I went with the Orioles, is because I feel like any ground you give this young team is too much ground. And I know the Blue Jays are trying everything in their power to make the Yankees their rival, as if it's like the Yankees Red Sox. And I see what you're doing, Vlad Guerrero Jr. And it's just like it's honestly, openly, I will say this: I was a huge fan of Vlad Jr. I still love him as a baseball player, but I can't stand him as a personality now, because it's like you're trying way too hard to make this happen, and it's just not going to. But
he's made the playoffs once in his career, right? Once or twice, and Alek Manoah can't even find the broadside of a barn.
Well, so he might be the comeback player of the year. So let's not talk too soon about that young man.
Have you seen him pitch?
I have.
Have you seen his StatCast data?
I have.
I simply have the Blue Jays in the wild card because I don't want to put the Astros in there. That's the only reason.
That's fair. That's fair. That's Sam, I'm assuming you have the Orioles along the same reasons that I do, being that they're youth and just being a really good team.
They're a really good team. They've built this the way to a T, the way a small market team should, and they have a ton of talent, especially on the on the offensive side here. And they got a an NL Cy Young winner in Corbin Burns playing at Camden Yards is a phenomenal pitcher's park now. You don't think about it, but they moved the left field wall back substantially at the detriment of some of their right-handed hitters. But still, this team's good. Adley Rutschman, Gunnar Henderson won a Rookie of the Year last year. We mentioned Holiday's not up yet. He's only 20 years old. He's played 50 games above single A, and his K rate's over 30%. Like, for context of K rate, like that was Aaron Judge the first couple years of his career. Like, still a great hitter, but striking out 30% of the time. You can get an Aaron Judge is not there anymore. He's probably in the mid 20s.
No, that can get corrected.
Yeah, and Holiday's such a pure hitter. You think the power will show up at some point, but they're in good hands there. They have an embarrassment of young talent. Yeah, that could work out. Grayson Rodriguez is hopefully he'll come together as a number 2 starter. They have a pretty good pen. So I just think it comes down to pitching. And as bad as the Yankees were last year, it wasn't pitching. It was the offense. So we mentioned Soto, all the different changes that upgrades that the team made. I'm worried about the Yankees pitching. One thing, not having Cole back until June, but like Carlos Rodon has been up and down, has not looked great. I really love the kids in this farm system. I don't know how many of them are ready. So there's not much out there. It looks like we're resigned to having Luis Gil be our fifth starter, but he's looked great in the spring. So we'll see. Can we trek ground until Cole's ready and just continue to, rely on our bullpen? I hope so. But that's why I have the Orioles winning these.
Well, Sam told you why he had the Orioles and why he's praying for the Yankees to turn it around too. AL MVP. So I have Juan Soto. Harrison has Juan Soto. And you, Sam, have Julio Rodriguez. AL Cy Young, Corbin Burns for me. Sam also has Corbin Burns. You can talk about your dark horse for sure. And then Harrison has Luis Castillo. AL Rookie of the Year, I have Wyatt Langford. We all have it. As I will put my hand up, I have no idea who this person is, but the writers all say you pretty much unanimously across the board on like 5 articles that I looked at. It's been him, so I'm not going to fight that. I'm just going to roll with it.
Yeah.
AL Coach of the Year, I have Rocco Baldelli. Harrison has Scott
Service.
There you go. And then Sam has Brandon Hyde. And then the Comeback Player of the Year, I have Carlos Rodon. Harrison has Mike Trout, and Sam has Mike Trout, and you guys are both wishful thinking for that one. So
I was going to go Anthony Rendon, but
that would have been comical for that.
Yeah.
So Harrison and I both have Juan Soto. You have Julio.
I thought it's been Juan Soto all year. I just didn't want to. I just wanted to bring a
be different,
but yeah.
So Sam's real pick is Juan Soto, but you have a close runner-up is Julio Rodriguez. Okay.
I feel like for Juan Soto to win, they have to win the division.
I don't know necessarily because he can put up ridiculous numbers this year. Because when Judge was MVP, they didn't win the division.
True.
So he just has to put up crazy numbers, which in that lineup he absolutely could.
Judge did a historic thing. I mean,
he did.
At least
he
in
did.
The American League.
And then the Yankees did nothing with that. So they just wasted that. So,
that was
love that. Sam, you have a dark horse here. Can you tell me quickly who this person is and why you have him as a dark horse?
Quietly, the Detroit Tigers have like a great rotation. Tariq Skubal was hurt for, I think, the end of 2 years ago and then the beginning of last year, but he's really come on he throws really hard, but he's got like really good command. And Casey Mize is a first-round pick, overall number 1 for the Tigers. Jack Flaherty's looking like his old self. Velocity's up too. There's a lot of good arms in this rotation, and I just think there's some volatility there, but I think if he can stay healthy, like he's just got like phenomenal stuff.
Love that.
So I think it's Corbin Burns for a lot of different things. He's in a walk year, that ballpark, playing for a number 1 team. The AL East kind of hurts him, but I think he'll be all right. But yeah, I just like Tariq Skubal stuff, so I just want to give him a shout out there.
I just like the last name now, so thank you. Why do you both have Mike Trout as your comeback player of the year?
I can't get any worse for him.
I mean, it can.
No, I just believe in Mike Trout. I think he's a generational baseball talent. One of the most, not underrated, but because of where he plays, kind of slept on a little bit. And he's still, I think, really good at baseball when he's healthy.
That's the question mark.
When he's healthy.
I'm
gonna bank on him staying healthy.
Okay.
Look, I mean, he's Mike Trout. I think clearly he hasn't played. I had all of this data for one podcast at one point, because I love Mike Trout, and he only played 82 games last year. I remember he was out for a ton of time, and then he basically played in one game in August and then never played again. So I get it. I mean, look, the year before, 119 games, 2021, 36 games, 2020, 53 games out of a total of 60. And from there on, so but looking at last year's numbers, he was still hitting 263. His OPS was pretty good. He was putting up like counting numbers. And I think just from interviews, he knows. He hears all this stuff. He knows. The lineup is much worse without Ohtani hitting in front of him. And you have Anthony Rendon hitting behind you. There's concern. I just think it's, if he can stay on the field, he's still a top 10 player right now in this game. He doesn't run to get stolen bases, but like he's still really fast. So like I think he can still do a lot. And I think if he just kind of plays 130 games, the writers are going to be like, okay, that's enough. That's good.
I hear a lot of what you're saying, Sam, and I'm going to say this respectfully because I keep hearing a lot of ifs.
This whole thing is this whole exercise.
No. I know it is. But we've been saying if for Mike Trout for so long, and I can't wait for the 30 for 30 to come out about the Anaheim Angels when they had Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout, arguably the top 5 players in baseball, and they did absolutely nothing with that. And now he's going to be on a roster with even more, as you mentioned, with really nothing now at this point in time. And I'm just very intrigued to see this comeback player of the year that you guys think is going to be. And this is not me shitting on Mike Trout and believing that he's not a really good baseball player, and that he's not a great baseball player and not a generational talent. But it's just highly disappointing to see a guy that has been to the playoffs once, if he's even been to the playoffs at this point. Yeah, I know it hasn't been more than once to have that talent. So it's just very upsetting. I could see the comeback player of the year thing, but I'm not holding my breath when it really comes to anything with Mike Trout anymore.
We're riding with Trout.
Excuse me?
We're riding with Trout, you hater.
Okay, that's fine. You're also riding with Gonzaga, who's going to lose in a few days, so we'll see how that goes. Let's get to the NL. All right, so the NL East, I have the Phillies. Harrison has the Braves. So does Sam. For the Central, I have the Reds. You both have the Cubs. For the West, we all have the Dodgers, which is absolutely hilarious. Wild card for Harrison is the Phillies, Padres, Diamondbacks. Actually, all three of us are going to have the exact same thing because I'm just looking at it. Well, I'd have the Braves, Padres, and Diamondbacks for me. So I guess let's just jump into – we don't need to touch the West because we all know what the Dodgers are going to do, even without Shohei Ohtani, if that comes down to it. The East, you both have the Braves over the Phillies, and I'm curious as to why.
Sam, go for it.
Ronald Acuna hit 40 home runs and stole 73 bases, even if that is an outrageous number because the rules have changed. The pickoff and all the different things with base running.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even if he goes 30, 50, Jesus, and hopefully his knee holds up and he's okay. He's been given the green light there. This team is just insane. Matt Olson has just come into the power potential that he has. Ozzie Albies, Austin Riley. Oh yeah, Spencer Strider's the best pitcher in baseball. That Garrett Cole's not, hurt. Could have won the Cy Young last year, but just fell apart at the end, as did a lot of guys. And then you end up with Blake Snell winning the MVP or the Cy Young. That's why, because
Well, I guess that's also why Sam got so passionate about it that he had to go.
I agree 100% with him. They won the NL East by 14 games last year. Then they're running back pretty much the same team. I don't see I like the Phillies. That's why they're my wild card team, but I don't see how they overtake the Braves in the NL East.
Okay. Now, if my memory serves me correct, who got further last year?
The Phillies did.
Okay, that's why I'm going.
But this is the pick for the NL East for the season.
Yeah. This is.
This is.
This is.
I
But
think as a season long team, they just have so many pieces. Like the Phillies are very good too, but to make up 14 games on a team that's the same, I don't see how they do that.
I'm just pushing back just to push back for
the
sake of the podcast, because I know the Braves are a very tough team, and if people don't see them as being a team that's around towards the end, if they can stay healthy, because again, that is their issue, and that's the issue with any major sports team is health, right? But if they can stay healthy, then this team can go the distance for sure. As Sam mentioned, having one of the best pitchers, having several of the best players, period. The Braves have built, ever since we were kids, even up till now, they've always had a competitive ass team, right? They've had some down years technically, and even in those down years, being in the division that they were in, they were still a top tier team, whatnot. But this Braves team, I know we believe that the Dodgers are the cream of the crop, and I don't really think any of us think anybody is really messing with them in general. But if anybody that would push that envelope, it's going to be the Braves. But I still believe the Phillies, especially in that atmosphere, if they're able to get to the playoffs, which I believe they will, that atmosphere that they create in Citizens Bank, it's pretty much, even baseball players have said that energy is different, and they hate going there. It's a beautiful stadium, but they hate going there because it's not friendly to any other team, which as an Eagles fan, I know that very, very much. But I think that helps for sure.
I could see where this Dodger thing falls apart, though. I base this whole thing off of pitching. This whole exercise we're doing. Yamamoto pitches every 6th day. Bobby Miller is great, but he's young. Glasnow can't stay healthy. I don't think he's ever pitched more than 130 innings. Mm-hmm. So like this whole thing could fall apart. But the Dodgers won the World Series in 2020 at a neutral site with no one in the stands. Mm-hmm. So like the Braves did it the following year with, actual World Series there. So like there's that. And the atmosphere in Philly is insane. Like you want to face
wait, hold on. With that logic, you're saying that the Lakers didn't really deserve theirs championship then?
I think it was. No, it's not that. I mean, it's just. I think it's just. It. I don't have a problem with the caveat, the asterisk next to it.
Okay.
It's just a different situation. I mean,
I'm just asking.
They haven't. Okay, well, here's the they haven't gotten back to the World Series since. They have the best team in baseball perennially since. I'm not trying to throw too much shade at the Dodgers. I could just see how it falls apart.
I would say the Braves were the best team in baseball last year. They didn't pay dividends in the playoffs, but they had the best record. But they had the best record. And that was my thing for Hayes. I'm like, the Braves are winning this division. Until how the Phillies overcome 14-game deficit. The Phillies are a very, very solid team, but the Braves are a different level. How easy it is to pick the West. All of us pick the Dodgers in the West. I feel like it should almost be that way for the East, but it is baseball, so you play 162 games for a reason.
You do. The Phillies definitely have that Phillies-Braves rivalry, though. I think they're definitely in each other's ear there.
That's going to be fun this year to watch. That's all I know.
No, it'll definitely be. It'll be a lot of fun.
I'll be paying more attention to that for sure. NL MVP, Harrison and I both have Mookie bets. Mookie. Sam has Ronald Acuna Jr., Cy Young, Zach Wheeler for me. You both have Spencer Strider. Rookie of the Year, Sam and I both have Nobu. I can't even speak. Harrison has Jackson who? I've never heard of this person before in my life.
Milwaukee Brewers.
He's debating my baseball picks. He doesn't know who Jackson Chourio is.
I don't. I
didn't really know until I did some research on this, but young man he rakes
for the Brewers. He's going to be pretty good. He's a young guy though.
Yeah, he's young, but I don't know. I like his swag.
Sam, definitely. you also didn't get the World Series right last year, so yeah, I'm debating your picks. Coach of the Year, Craig Counsell, Mike Shield for Harrison, and Craig Counsell for you. There you go. And then the comeback player of the year, I have Chris Sale, and you both have Edwin Diaz. I'm just gonna just touch on the MVP part. I love Mookie, and I think if Shohei can stay and he doesn't spend time away, I think it's just going to open things up more for Mookie. And Mookie was fine on his own before, but I think that will allow him to do way more. And what I just watched him do in the 2 regular season games over there in Korea, especially the second game, Mookie is an absolute monster.
He went like 4 for 5 or something like that. Yeah.
Hit the only home run.
I was going to pick Mookie. I saw both of you did, and I was just like, all right, I'll just throw another name out there. Oh, yeah, Acuna is pretty good too. But yeah, I hear you, man.
I think it'll be a fun race.
Lineup.
Yeah.
You have Freddie Freeman and Ohtani behind you.
Yeah, I think it'll be a fun race between them. I think at the end of the day, I think the Dodgers will have the better record. So that'll just, I think, lean it a little more towards Mookie. And who knows if like Shohei plays all year, if he's taking votes away from Mookie. So maybe they're splitting and maybe it is Acuna at the end. So
maybe
it'll be fun. Like NL's pretty fun. It looks very fun.
It is. I'm very intrigued to see what is going to come from that. So AL Championship, I have the Orioles Rangers. Harrison has the Mariners Rangers, and Sam has nothing. So he just not. And then the NL Championship is the Dodgers Phillies for me. Harrison is the Dodgers Braves, and so the same for Harrison. And then overall winner, World Series, or the World Series and overall winner, I have the Orioles versus Dodgers. I have the Dodgers winning. Harrison has the Dodgers versus Mariners, and he has the Dodgers winning. And Sam is putting it in right now. Pause. No Diddy. So there you go.
Oh, you snuck it in somehow.
I did.
Yeah.
I'll say, no, I can't. I can't.
You snuck it right in the back door.
Somebody.
I'm sorry, man. I take an opportunity when I see one, man.
Yeah, just go with it.
Who do you have, Sam? I'll just ask you since you don't have it. Who do you have for the AL Championship?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. I don't know. I'll say Mariners and the Orioles.
Okay. I like that.
I like that as well. And then for the World Series,
I'll say Braves over the Mariners.
Okay. All right.
I'm going to change this. I don't. This doesn't feel right.
It's not set in stone.
Doesn't feel right.
All right. Well, we'll see.
We'll see
how that goes.
Right. Anyway, on to
we'll check in
Cincinnati.
We'll check in weekly. See who this is. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do a mid-season update as we've done with pretty much every sport, and what we're gonna do right now with this is not mid-season; it's 3 weeks away from playoffs. But the NBA playoff time is right around the corner. This is focus time for the bottom feeders at this point. It's play-in season to see what's gonna happen. It's very, very interesting what's going on here. So it's teams 7 through 10 for the play-in. So right now for the East, those teams in that slot are the Miami Heat 76ers, which is so crazy to hear myself say that because I'm pretty sure at the beginning of the year I would have never said that. That's the effect of Joel Embiid. You have the Bulls at 9, and then you have the Hawks at 10. And then for the West, you have the Kings, which I also wouldn't have thought that they would have been down there. Mavs, Lakers, and Warriors, but the Warriors and the Rockets are very close and are very easily interchangeable as the Warriors record is 36 and 34, and the Rockets record is 35 and 35. So that can absolutely change at any point in time. And if the Lakers go on a losing streak, which they're pretty hot right now, that could change too. So with that being said, I have a question for you guys right off rip. Do the Warriors keep their position, or do they get knocked by the young Bulls? So we have to see annoying Dylan Brooks all the time.
Well, Draymond's not worried, right?
Yeah, apparently he's not worried. Yeah,
I think they
game lead. Yeah,
I think they get knocked. I got the Rockets are on an 8-game winning streak. I think they're the better team. Their roster is really fun. They're a great watch. You got Jalen Green. You got Jabari Smith. You got I don't think Sengun's back yet, but hopefully, yeah. So I like what the streak they're on. I think the Warriors are on the downturn, and I think they get knocked out. There's no other side. There's no one on the East that's really contending. The Nets are 5 games back of the Hawks, but on the West side, that last spot is going to be interesting.
Yep. Yeah. I will say this. The Lakers and the Warriors need to praise Adam Silver any way they possibly can. Because if it wasn't for the creation of these play-in games, both of these teams would not have been in the playoffs in the last few years.
Dude, that's a great point. I didn't even
Period.
Yeah, that's very true.
Period. Yeah. So they better go, and whatever Adam Silver says going forward, they better be like, yep, you got it. Because it's literally saved their franchises over and over again. And it's crazy to say that with the two kids, the two of the greatest players ever that came from Akron, Ohio, on separate individual teams, and they're in this spot. But that says how good the West is, period.
Yeah.
For them to be at the bottom of the barrel. So, I have to agree with Harrison. Just to get back to my question, I believe the Rockets are going to make it in. I really, really do. They are a really good young team. And the Warriors at this point in time, it's now to the point that Steph Curry can no longer be your crutch. He's getting older in age. Yes, you can still shoot the lights out, but you need more than Steph. I know they have Kuminga, but outside of Kuminga, what else are you doing? I understand Draymond runs the unofficial point for you and he's a leader of the defense, but he provides no offense, period, for your team. And Clay is very, very inconsistent. You really don't have really any other options outside of that. So I think this might be the time for them to really start thinking about, which they should have thought about a while ago.
I think, right. I mean, it makes the Klay Thompson decision a little easier, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I think we might find out in the next 5 or so games. So just like looking at the remaining schedule. So the Warriors are a little bit easier. They have the Heat, the Magic, the Hornets, the Spurs, the Mavs, and then the Rockets. So that matchup on April 4th should be massive. Mm-hmm. And on the other side, the Rockets have the Blazers, so that should be a win. Yep. They have the Thunder. That's a tough game. Mm-hmm. They have the Jazz. They got to take care of business there. They have the Mavericks. That's a tough game. Oof. Then they have the Timberwolves. That's another tough game. And then they have the Warriors. So
so I might change that around.
I think we'll find out if the Rockets are for real in the next 2 weeks. And then we'll kind of see where they're at. But that schedule is tough. But if they can make it through that gauntlet, I think they got it.
Yeah, so I agree. It's just so weird to talk about both LeBron and Steph and just think of the stars on those teams, and just because we've seen what they've done for so many years and just be at the bottom. Now, we also know that either one of these teams, they just need to get in, because we know what they have done when they get into the playoffs, like the playoffs. But I don't think that's even going to be the case this time around. Like if the Warriors somehow, some way go beyond, which I don't believe that happening, they make no noise to me. And I feel more so that the Lakers could do something if they are able to do. But even then, there's just too many good teams above them that I think they absolutely, their age is showing, and their role players are also showing too. So, speaking of LeBron, LeBron and JJ Redick have a podcast. It's like JJ Redick's 5th podcast that he has, and like LeBron's 3rd. But they have a podcast, and they brought up a question that I end up seeing on X, and it was a very interesting topic, and I shared it with both Sam and Harrison, and we all figured it would be a great conversation to have on here. We have not shared who we believe are these players that I'm about to mention what the question is, so this will be very, very interesting. But the question is, who had the biggest influence on the NBA? And basically, I'm talking about current players at this point in time. And so let's just say from when Jordan played to up till now. Who had the biggest?
Our generation, yeah.
Yes, correct. So basically, our generation. Who has the biggest influence? You have a max of 4 players because I feel it's impossible to just say it's one. And there may be several in your guys' mind. So whoever wants to go first, who they believe has made the biggest influence on the NBA at this point.
The question was a good one. So it posed basically, or did it Bron just answer Iverson and Curry, I think, right?
He did answer just Iverson and Curry, yeah.
So, I mean, I would say my choices would be Iverson, but I would put, obviously, the 4 that I would put are Michael, Iverson, Curry, and LeBron. But my answer is Iverson because of just everything on the court and off the court he did. So, he ushered in the fashion era of the NBA, basically, off the court. So it's like, baggy clothes and living your own style and all that, so on and so forth. And then on the court, he was the coolest dude on the court. The arm sleeves, the headband, the cornrows. Like, to me, he had the biggest influence, both not so much on the court, but off the court, basically shaping kind of the way the NBA is. And then on the court, I think it's Steph. I mean, obviously he changed how the game is played today. Like, you see teams shooting 30, 40 3-pointers a game, infiltrated down to the college level. The AAU level is worse because of it. Not Curry's fault, but it's worse.
Yeah.
So, 2 different picks for 2 different reasons. And then obviously the greatness of Michael Jordan and how it elevated the NBA to what it is today. LeBron's probably 4th, even though I think he's the greatest player of all time, but influentially, I think those 3 are ahead of him.
Sam, you okay for me to go next?
Yeah, go ahead, man. Yeah.
So I'm going to piggyback off of Harrison with the first one with Bubba Chuck, Allen Iverson. Immediately, the first thing that came to my mind was literally the arm sleeve. It's damn near every player in the NBA has worn an arm sleeve. As Harrison said, it's the trickle down effects. You see college basketball all the way to AAU level, CYO, so on and so forth. That's a part of it. The cornrows at the point in time was a huge part as well too. As you said, the fashion as well. But I would also say, Harrison, his play on the court in this aspect of the crossover and how it was such a big thing. I mean, one of the most iconic crossovers we ever seen was making Jordan jump around like he's playing hopscotch on the court, right? So it was a big part of it. And I feel like with him, like Tim Hardaway has, in my opinion, still a better crossover than him, than Iverson, but it was better. No, it was. You know it is too. I love Iverson though, but it is. But okay. But yeah, his crossover was something absolutely crazy and vicious to even think about at this point in time. So I would say that for him. Also, as Harrison said, Steph. Immediately, Steph stepping over that half-court line. We've said it in other conversations. It's free range from that, even over the half-court line. I mean, Steph can shoot damn near anywhere he wants to. The next 2 players that came into the NBA like after that shot like that, Dame Lillard, Trae Young, right? You could see immediately the influence and the impact that it had on NBA players at that point in time because it was guys that were shooting like that. And then, as you said, it's also trickled down. So you have that from there. I differ with LeBron because I also agree Jordan as well because Jordan's the reason the NBA is as correct. It is. That's why I just say Jordan is just
that he's won Jordan with
in general. Yeah, he's the reason why most people wear 23, including Harrison's favorite player of all time. But I
Mitchell
also
Robinson.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Exactly. But then
I love Mitchell Robinson.
But then Kobe would be the other one for me.
Kobe was my answer there. Yeah.
Kobe Bryant would be the other one for me because of how he's influenced this generation. You have the Kobe players and Devin Booker, Giannis, Jason Tatum, Paul George, DeMar DeRozan. There's so many great players in the NBA right now that follow that Mamba mentality or praise Kobe in general and still wear Kobe's to this day, and that's all that they wear. Like are Nike players and all they wear was just solely Kobe's, right? And just how the impact really just continues to go from there. So those would be my 4. But I want to raise this up, and I hope it's not any that you have, Sam. But Manu Ginobili is a name that I don't think most people would talk about, because this is going to give me the thumbs up. But the Euro step is a huge part of the game in basketball at this point in time. And the first and only person that I saw do it was Manu Ginobili. And that has absolutely been a part of basketball since he was in the league and retired, and still continues to go from this point in time. So I feel from a technical basketball standpoint, he should absolutely get his flowers too, because that Euro step was not in the league. And if it was in the league, it wasn't prominent until he really started to do it. So,
and now you need it as when you're attacking the rim. Like,
correct. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, totally. I don't disagree with any of the names. I don't even count Michael Jordan in this. I just think, as I mentioned, I think he's just so far and away there. Kobe's up there. We've just, unfortunately seen just the impact, in a positive way, the impact, obviously, he's left on the league and the players of the league. We've talked about this a lot over the last couple of years. You mentioned Book, Tatum, etc. Sabrina, just across the on the other side of the aisle there in the WNBA. But just the game of basketball is better because of Kobe Bryant, and it's missing something because he's not here. So he's definitely there. I think, everyone wanted to be like Michael Jordan. I was never a great athlete, but I can totally imagine that anyone that was actually good at basketball just wanted to be Michael Jordan. And this dude was like, I'm going to be Michael Jordan. And he did it. And, I think he gets some, he takes some shade for that in a way, but I think he's just everything he was able to do off the court too. And I think that's important to this. You mentioned AI, just the do-rags and the sound clips and the suspensions. And, he's the reason that you don't players not playing aren't wearing, street clothes, stuff like that. Just, it showed, a different side of an NBA player, and just letting him be himself and not necessarily, confined to what norms would be. He was just Allen Iverson, and he would just say and do what he wanted to do. And the league had a tough, in hindsight, a tough image kind of issue at that time. But you look at it now and it's just this is, it's just let him be Allen Iverson. He changed the game on the court.
The league had a David Stern issue, even though he did a lot.
That's fair.
Let's be fair. They had a David Stern issue.
What I was trying to say, in hindsight, it's not a big deal, but that's all you freaking heard about in the late 90s and 2000s. But at us being, teenagers at that time, it didn't bother us. Steph, just the way the 3-point game's been interjected. I mean, I was just trying to think off the brand too, guys even if it was just kind of a flash in the pan, kind of like Steph Marbury or something like that, just
I think it's I think just to add, I think the important thing to remember about Iverson and Curry is the size and stature of them playing.
So that do it.
That's you see Mike, you see LeBron. Those guys are 6'5", 6'6". Bron's 6'8", 6'9". That's why he's not as influential, because watching LeBron is
I can't do that.
I could never do that. But watching Steph and watching AI, you kind of feel no, I can do that on the court as undersized as you are. Just kind of the inspirational impact that it has. So that's why those two are up there, aside from everything they've done in the game.
Yeah, no, totally. It just showed that anyone can, any size can play, and
it's accessible.
And again, you don't need to necessarily be this dominating force. You look at Steph Curry and you're still kind of how can he do what he does outside of the 3-point line, right? But I thought the Manu thing was huge, Brandon. I was trying to think
that's a good one.
How to involve the European game and like, you know, what ushered in that kind of wave into the NBA, and clearly the Euro step is forever in the game. It feels like, but no, that was a great one.
I would also probably say it's safe to say that he's also the reason flopping came into the NBA too. But you know, I don't know which European player pinned that or coined that, but that definitely came from the European market for sure. All the flopping, which is absolutely influential in the game now too. But
you could put the entire 1996 Dream Team on there. You could that'd probably be a good one, because obviously, you know, the Euro step is a big part of basketball, but that's kind of what exposed the rest of the world to the
basketball,
game.
yes,
and why you have Jokic and Luka and all those players now that are top of the MVP charts. Like, there's no Americans up there. Giannis, like, it's all international, and that all started in '96.
Yeah, that's an extremely valid point. Shoot, I mean, you can even go back to the Dream Team. You know what I mean? Like, further beyond that, right? You know what I mean? Like, you can do
96. Was it 92?
It's 92.
92. 92. Okay.
Yeah. Just watching it again, like you said, Harrison, it's evolved basketball so much, which is why I think it's after football. I think that's the biggest sport after that would be basketball. I mean, cricket is technically,
probably international.
Yes, but I'm talking about it like, international standpoint, it would definitely be, unless cricket's still up there, because I remember it was like football and then cricket. It was then it was basketball.
What is American sports that are international, or just
just international in general? Because I know basketball is played all over the world, but
football with the feet.
Yeah, football. Yeah, that'd be one for sure. But just seeing how it's influenced, as Harrison said, you know, you also have the Embiids of the world and so on and so forth. You've reached so many people, and now we have access to seeing on our phones, on our computers, of seeing people all around the world that are training on clay-like dirt with makeshift basketball hoops and are nicer to some of the people that you've played against or are in college right now, right? And this is how this game has evolved so much to see it. I think it's just absolutely beautiful to see. But I think this was just a really, really cool question to think about, like who influenced it, because I feel like everybody has its own part. I mean, even James Harden, I would say, with that step back, his step back, that is something that's also where basketball is now. It's in every version of basketball from the NBA going down. That was considered a travel essentially at the beginning when he started to do it, right? And now it's just like, nope, it's just an actual basketball move of taking that step back to move and go from there. So I mean, there's several people that have done several things that I would say absolutely we can get into the technical terms of Tim Duncan changing the power forward position forever and Shaq changing the center position, but then you have now the center and how the position is played, and it plays at the outside the perimeter or whatnot compared to that. Like, there's so many things that have changed, but I think it's just really, really cool that we were able to even just sit here and just talk about it, because it's just watching the evolution, and we are literally privileged to say that we've seen all those players that we've mentioned and how they've changed the game from what it used to be to what it is now and what it's going to be going forward. And we can say and share, you guys have kids, and you can share with your kids, like, yeah, I watched it go from this point to that point, and it's pretty cool to even think about.
Yeah, it was a great question. I look forward to kind of having more discussions like this every week. So we've talked about that. If you had to pick one guy outside of MJ, like one,
Iverson for me.
I'd say Iverson as well too.
I don't want to go to the answers that, you know, clearly JJ and LeBron gave, but it's either him or Steph. I mean, Karl Anthony Towns won the 3-point contest. You know what I mean? Like, Draymond Green has more threes than Larry Bird all time. Like,
yeah.
So, you know, but it's probably AI. But
well, real quick to that point. Real quick to that point of you talking about Karl Anthony Towns, who do you think changed that? I'd say Dirk. I'd say Dirk would change.
Dirk was on my list of like,
right?
I was
Dirk is a
trying to
good
think
one.
of the European connection. I missed Manu, and that's on me. But Dirk's right there too. Yeah.
I would say
Yeah.
Dirk, because the way that Dirk shot the three, we didn't see power forwards really shooting like that and spacing the floor like that, right? It's different.
He changed
Brooke
the game.
Lopez,
Yeah.
doing it now. I mean, or at one time he did it.
Dirk killed the big men.
Yeah,
he did.
Yeah.
He absolutely did.
He did.
I have a question before we go for Harrison. Who's more influential to boxing, Jake Paul or Mike Tyson?
The Gonzaga Bulldogs.
Oh, God. All right. Well, with that being said,
God damn it.
before we get out of here, is there anything either of you gentlemen want to say before we leave?
Go Zags.
Go Zags.
Oh my God! On that note, Zags will be losing, and I can't wait. I might record my screen when I FaceTime Harrison, which he won't answer.
Not to those choke artist Boilermakers. No shot.
Edie is going to teabag everybody on that Gonzaga. So I'm just waiting for it, and it's not going to be too hard for him to do that. But with that said, this has been another episode of the Chasing Points podcast, episode 128 to be exact. Check us out on every single DSP that is possible known to man, because Sam has put us on all of them. So thank you, Sam. And check us out on YouTube. Get those numbers up. Smash the like button or whatever the hell they all say and stuff like that. Do all that good stuff and share it with everybody so we can get our numbers up there. We appreciate you guys. See you next week. Peace.